It's a pleasure to be here to tell you about what we are doing in the Mimiro company. First of all, I'm a little bit nervous today because my profession, I'm working with animal physiology. I'm a professor in animal physiology and been modeling what's happening inside a cow. And now I'm moving to more the technology business. So, but I'm also a farmer, so I have used a lot of machinery. So that's maybe my technological part. I'm coming from the dairy company TINE. We have a long tradition of developing tools for the farmers. 2 years ago, we saw that we had to do some new things related to technology and digitalization, and that ended up in this company called Mimiro. And today I will tell a story about TINE and then also tell you about the Mimiro company. As we heard, TINE is a dairy cooperative. We have 9,000 dairy farmers, close to 230,000 cows, and we have 95% of the raw milk market in Norway. What's also quite special is that TINE has its own advisory service. We have 250 advisors around in the country, advising the dairy farmers in feeding, in economy, animal health, etc., etc. So that's quite special. And TINE has also its own research unit, where we are in very close collaboration with the university sector and doing research in the dairy sector. If we look at TINE, it's quite special because actually we cover the whole value chain. So it means that we have a lot of data, and we can collect data start from what's happening at the farmer level, from the transportation of milk, from the farms to the dairy plant. We have the processing industry, and also all the logistics to the retail market. So this means that TINE can cover actually the whole value chain for the dairy production. So it means that we now have a focus how to optimize actually the whole value chain in the dairy production. That was a very short presentation of TINE, but now to the main topic, and that's the agriculture. And this picture gives you some ideas about what's the future challenges for the agriculture, but for us it's also a lot of possibilities. And let's start with the one up to the left. We know that we have to increase the global food production. There are numbers from 60 to 80% within the year 2050, and we have no more land. So it means that we must be more efficient in the way we are producing the food, and also with a very high food security, and we also have to think about actually the nutrition of the people. And we go to the other side. That's what's happening with the climate changes. That will have an impact on how we produce our food. But it's also so that there are greenhouse gas emissions from agriculture production itself. So then there is a focus, actually, how can we increase the food production without increasing the emission of greenhouse gases per unit of food produced. And in the bottom, we know that the consumer are more and more interested in how we are producing the food, and a transparent value chain will be very important for the future. And from this perspective, it's so that I really believe that new technology, collecting data, processing data, will be very important to solve these challenges and also make possibilities for our business. And just to give you some ideas, if we look at Norwegian dairy production, we actually started to systematically collect data from the dairy cows back in 1898. Then it was handwritten protocols, and then we moved to another world, more digital world, still changing. And then we ended up with a web solution. Now we're on the mobile solution. And in 2019, it's so that more than 50% of the milk in Norway is actually milked by a milking robot. So it means that in 2000, just to give you an example, in 2015, we collected individual milk yield, and we had 2.5 million observations per year for individual milk yield. In 2019, when we are collecting data from the milking robot, every milking, we collect 175 million observations per year. And then you can start to imagine how can we utilize all this data for making new tools, for making forecasting model, etc., by collecting all this new data. So what have we done? Well, we have established a company called Mimiro, where we have developed an open platform solution based on AWS. It's a streaming platform. It's up and running, where we collect different sources of data. It's from traditional ways from the users. We are putting sensors and getting data from sensors like the milking robot. We are getting data from different partners. That could be from the TINE, the dairy industry. And from all these data points putting into the platform, we have started to make platform products. And it means applications that could be either used by the industry itself or by the farmer. So this platform is up running, and we are developing now applications for the farmer. So what's actually the new world in this? It's so that I am coming from, as I said, TINE. We have been working with tools for the farmers for many, many years. Traditionally, it has been tools related to documentation and planning. Now, with all these new data sources and data in real time, you can make decision tools, and you can make actually a digital advisor. So our idea is that we are developing what we call a 360 solution. It means that we integrate data and making decision tools for all the activities going on the farm. So it means that we putting data together from the livestock production, from the plant production, from the economy, and then try to optimize the whole production on the farm. Because traditionally, it has been very based on silos. We are optimizing the livestock production, we have been optimizing the plant production, but normally the farmer is running both an amount of land, and he has some animals, and we have to optimize the total production for the farm. So that's the idea and what we are actually working on. So it means that on this platform, we have been focusing on scalable services. The farmer tells us that he needs data, but he will not do that manually. That should be automatically collected. There was in the previous talk, we also heard about integration. It's very important to build solution with quick integrations. We have selected or using a EPAS solution. And as Paul Øystein said, it's very important to have partners and work together with this. So that's one of the ideas and how we are building our platform. And we strongly believe that, and our experience so far, it's that it's very important to have data in one place to actually optimize the whole chain for the farmer. So, what are we actually doing with Bosch? Well, if you remember, I showed you the data string from when we are collecting data from the dairy production. In Norway, we have what we call a national herd recording system. And in the national herd recording system, 98.6% of the cows are connected to that system. So it means that we have a very good documentation of the life of a cow. Every treatment for the sickness, as an example, a lot of information of her production, but we also see that there are some errors and there are some low-quality data also in the herd recording system. And especially when we are transferring data between different databases, some errors occur. So our idea is that could we find a new solution and build a new, what we call a national registry system on new technology. And then we contacted Bosch because we know that they were very strong in analytics and they had experience with the blockchain. And then last year we developed a solution on blockchain on what we call the next generation of cow registration system. And we know that now it's working, and then we want to build a new total national registry. So it means that for the moment we are discussing with different national partners and participants to join this solution so that we can build a sort of a blockchain registry. And this is very interesting because compared to others, we start at the other end of the value chain. We have a lot of information about the animals, the cows, the milk production, and then we move in that direction in the value chain. Instead of starting with the consumer and going the other direction, we can actually start with the cow. So that's one example that we now are scaling up with Bosch, with the blockchain. The other one that I think is very fascinating, and it's also related to one of the questions that we heard previously. It's so that if you look at the farm, there are two, especially when you look at a farm with livestock, there are two important elements. You have the barn and what's going on in the barn, and you have the use of land. And barn and land is the core elements on the farm. So it means that if you to be able to develop a 360 solution, you have to integrate the information of the livestock and the plant production. And as a starting point for the land usage, it's what we called a field assistant. Actually, how to optimize, how to use your land. And from my experience, which is coming from the livestock side, I think that if you take some of the ideas from the livestock, technology, digitalization, over to the plant production, we can really improve that part of farming. And from us, it was so that we had to start to develop this field assistant. And of course, one solution is putting a lot of new hardware into all the machinery. But in discussion with Bosch, we decided, let's use this one. So what we actually do is that we use the cell phone for both GPS tracking, geofencing, and also collecting sound. Because we can use this cell phone to detect which tractor, which machinery are you now using, and combine that with the GPS, you can have a documentation of the activity on each individual field. And that's the core element. And then you can just put on layer for layer on agronomy, economy, and so on. But in the bottom, it's a dynamic field assistant. So that's what we have developed now with Bosch. And we have a pilot that we will test for about 200 farmers now in May 2019. And we will use this season to collect data from different machinery so that we can use AI to train and actually build a full version for 2020. So that's just some examples of what we are doing with Bosch. So to the end, take-home messages. First of all, we heard from the previous speaker that the agribusiness is changing. We believe that one common platform will be important for the future, but at the same time, how we build that platform is very crucial. We have our experience so far. We have been working machine learning on milk forecasting model. We are using machine learning for the field assistant, and that's a very powerful tool. But as we also heard earlier today, a partnership is extremely important. We can't do this by ourselves. We need partners. And that's why there is a good collaboration and discussion with Bosch to see how we can actually develop further the agricultural technology. Thank you.